It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I need it. I've never gotten into it, but all right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. What's up, and welcome back to Pro Pels Talk. It is the home of your New Orleans Pelicans, episode 62, brought to you by Boot Crew Media and Company Burger. Make sure to go check them out at 4600 Ferret Street. Today, we're not going to talk about basketball. I got Steven, I got Elliot. We're going to get into it right now. Steven, how are you?
Good, buddy. The reality show is starting. The reality show, we're in that spot where the season's going to end for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to make the playoffs. I don't think we're making the playoffs. So let's blow it up. Let's have a good time. Let's have some drama. Let's keep it interesting, huh? Elliot, what you say, buddy?
I'm okay. You hit it, man. We're not talking about basketball. We're talking about drama for your mama off the court. And I said it last night on Pelicans Plus recording it. It's fun to get a little more spirited on the mic, talk about some of the heated stuff, whether it's Zion in the national media or what JJ's talking about now, how you can't trust our front office. So I'm all right. It's good to be here with you guys on Pro Pels Talk again.
Yeah, we're not going to even talk about basketball. We're not going to talk about the Magic. We're not going to talk about the Celtics. We're not going to talk about any of that bullshit because we're going to have to talk about what JJ Redick said today. And I think it was absolutely and utterly disgusting what he said. Okay, so we're going to get into this, Steven. Hold up, and I'm going to give you a little. Here's the thing. Okay, JJ Redick, I understand why he is mad. Okay, he wants to be close to his family, which is in the Northeast. He got shipped to Dallas. Now, in the initial report on his podcast, JJ Redick stated that in November, when Jrue Holiday got traded, he also requested a trade. Okay, David Griffin, he said, this is coming from JJ, that David Griffin promised him that he would find him a suitor that he wanted to go to. Okay, now this is JJ Redick saying it, not David Griffin. So David Griffin, they go back and forth, and nothing happened. David Griffin's like, why don't you come to training camp? A month in, if you're happy, fine, stay. If not, we'll get you out. Okay. JJ Redick was one of the worst basketball players to begin this season. I don't think y'all realize he was horrendous. He was literally unplayable on a bad team. So his trade value went absolutely down to where he couldn't even get moved. He was literally, they tried to get the aggregate trade deadline, right? They tried to get him to Philly. No, they tried to get him to Boston, Northeast, all those teams, New York, whatever it may be, didn't get there. Okay. So they kept him. He kept playing, kept getting a little better and better and better. But around the trade deadline, he was a buyout candidate. At the trade deadline, Dallas is like, no, we'll give you Owinu or whatever you call him, James Johnson, a second round pick. So you're telling me our choices are buyout candidate or get assets. What would you choose? You're going to get the assets. I don't care who you are. This is a business. It's not a charity. Steven, am I off on this? What do you got?
Man, look, when you're a player like JJ at the point in his career, how he's playing, basically, you should trust the front office like I trust a fart. Don't. Okay. You're a piece. You're a piece that's movable. You're gonna be used, or you're gonna be bought out. It's essentially what happened. So they used him to pick something up. Yeah, it's gonna happen. At this point in your career, this is a business. Players like to remind people about that all the time when they make their moves.
Absolutely.
Right. So when they make their moves, they love to remind people that this is a business. It goes both ways. So look, he should have been moved in the offseason when we moved Jrue. Everybody knows that now. That's all hindsight. It's over. Whatever. Get over it. We got what we got for him. Go finish the season in Dallas, JJ. Why did you have to say something? Go finish the season in Dallas. They're in the playoffs, right? They're in the playoff picture, right?
Race.
Right.
Yeah.
Go to the playoffs, shoot a little bit of lights out, then go sign with Brooklyn next year. Why? What are we doing? Why the slander tour? But at the same time, I also voice my opinion for the players that they should be able to say what they want,
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a double-edged sword here, but yeah, don't trust the front office when you're a player in JJ's position at this point in his career.
That's fair. Elliot.
So let's start at the beginning for JJ in New Orleans. Signed the most lucrative contract he possibly could. This was the most money he was going to make to come play in New Orleans. Towards the end of his career, he was playing pretty well in Philadelphia, but he was drawn by Drew and then ultimately got to play with Zion and Brandon Ingram and Josh Hart, some of those other guys. And making $13 million at the age of 36 when you're not contributing to the team that you chose to play for. This is a short-term contract. And then being upset when they trade you after you've requested a trade. And fine, to the Northeast. Yes, you want to be up there with your family. Absolutely. Totally understand that. But one, you get traded to a contender. Two, he loves Mark Cuban. He's had him on his podcast. Three, he's getting coached by Rick Carlisle. Excuse me. Four, gets to play with Luka, who's one of the best at finding open players at the three-point line. So not only is JJ going to get open shots, not only did he get traded, but he got traded to an awesome team that has a great history of having talented players and great culture. And then he's upset about it. I tweeted out that meme, that Oprah meme of when JJ requests a trade, when JJ gets traded, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but I mean, I like to think of JJ as a good guy. I do, but this wasn't cool. This was just, I don't want to say it was out of left field. I understand his frustration because he wants to be around his family, but it's just not fair to the organization that he's coming from and the guys that are still on that team. He can talk about how much he loves his teammates and then shit on Griff in the same situation. He obviously doesn't care about his teammates that much because he doesn't necessarily want them to get good other teammates in free agency or what have you. Does that make sense? I don't know. I kind of made a little bit of a leap there.
And like, I just kind of pulled out the stats here. Like, he started off the season shooting 28% from deep. He was just absolutely atrocious in 21 minutes. He just wasn't good. He was shooting 31% from the field. Then you go into January, he shot 30% from the 3-point line, 34% from the field. And then like you go on and on, his numbers get better, obviously. And then he gets hurt. So like, I'm confused. First off, I believe in a professional manner, right? So like, you don't call out a front office. You don't call out a front office on a podcast. Okay. You just don't do that. Like, there are so many worse things that have happened in sports, in MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL, you name it, than getting traded to the Dallas Mavericks. Okay. There's just a lot worse things. And I just think
for half a season.
And it's like, I understand that he wants to be by his family. And it's a pandemic and he's struggling. He hasn't seen them in a while. I just think that the way he handled it today was just not okay. And it was majority, everyone was on David Griffin's side, but there were some people that were like, no. You can't trust that front office. You can't trust this. You can't trust that. It's just like, well, hold up a second. We haven't heard David Griffin's side. There are always two sides to a story, right? And so I highly doubt that David Griffin promised him that he would move. I think he probably said that we will try to do our best. You don't promise something. I mean, you're disagreeing with me, Steven, but like, here's the same thing. Like, you have no clue. You have no clue what was said. You have no idea. So like, you believe JJ Redick? Do you believe JJ Redick? You don't trust Griffin.
I don't trust Griffin.
Well,
look, someone's lying here. Someone's lying here. And I think both of them are stretching it out a little bit just to make themselves look better. Maybe I'm wrong.
So let me pose this to you. Would you rather buyout or would you rather assets?
I mean, if I'm David Griffin, I'm wanting assets, of course.
Elliot?
If I'm me, I'm wanting assets for the Pelicans.
Right, yeah.
So like, there is, exactly, and that's what it came down to. It's like, okay, trade deadline, like, oh my God, can we get something? We got something. You absolutely, utterly take it. Now, it was Iwinu, I can't pronounce his name, and James Johnson, second round pick. Okay, and we got rid of Melly. Okay, so
it looks like Iwanu, but it looks like, yes, Iwunu, but it's Iwanu.
You have it written on the ceiling? What are you looking at there?
Sorry, I had to think about it, Steven. Go.
Yeah, you're not allowed to think on this podcast. You just say things.
Yeah, so let it flow. I just got diarrhea of the mouth most of the time.
There you go. So like, here's what it is. I just disagree with what JJ did today. Like, I wish him well, and maybe he retires after the year. Maybe this is his last year. I don't know. The thing is that no one knows what was actually said. I've only heard JJ.
Well, they do.
Well, yeah, but JJ, I mean, I want to hear what David Griffin has to say. I'm sure he won't say what was actually said.
He said a little bit today in the media session of just saying something to the effect of, I like my loyalty, not my loyalty, but my duty is to do what's best for this organization and like the Benson family or something to that effect.
Yeah, that sounds like he fucked them over to me. That's what that sounds like. See, I don't trust that dude. I don't trust him. Just that wording right there. It's shiesty.
Listen, I've been very critical of David Griffin, but I think he did what's best for the franchise with the JJ Redick move.
And on top of this too, like be upset with the teams in the Northeast for not offering what you think your market value is.
Because
Like,
he's not a valuable basketball player.
Exactly.
That is not like that's not sticking in his head. Is that how about you like admit that you were fucking trash for 2.5 months and then you shot the ball well for 10 games? Like you were literally unplayable at sometimes. Like unplayable.
It's what have you done for me lately, right? Like he did have those 10 games, but then he
And
got hurt, and he's old.
Hurt. So like,
and he's
Was
old,
he really
so he's
hurt?
not going to come back as quick.
yeah, he was hurt. Like he's been out for like no, he really was. Like I think he might have like a minor surgery or something like that.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
so
an
it's just
Achilles
like
something too. His heel and his Achilles. Yeah.
yeah. So like, that's what I'm saying. I don't. Why would we buy you out? Let's just get the fuck out of here and give me literally whatever, like literally anything. And we got a second round pick and 2 players. Like you're taking that
And-
any day of the week.
Yippee! Another
And-
second rounder. We talked about this last time, man.
And your second rounders.
Yeah,
The
get
thing-
fuck
the
out of here
thing-
with that.
About these two is we haven't seen James Johnson yet. We saw a little bit of Wes Iwanu, but Wes is a 6'6" wing with a 7'1" wingspan, and that's what all of us have been screaming for. Yes, he's a little raw, he's a little young, but he's a pretty solid asset on a very cheap contract. James Johnson is an MMA fighter, so that's great to have on your bench, you know. And the bevy of draft picks, you can use that in the future. They just toss
Steven
it in.
hates
It's
the
a little
second rounders.
sweetener, you know.
What? Who wants a second rounder nowadays? Like that. That's just everybody's trading their second rounders because they don't want their second rounders.
Well, we have a cornucopia of second rounders, and we're gonna go for Bradley
Ooh.
Beal, Steven. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
we're
the
going to get
Wizards. They're
Bradley
just
Beal.
gonna. Do you realize the Wizards have to want the
We're
second?
getting
round
Bradley
picks?
Beal according to Pelicans Twitter. Okay, stop it. We're getting Bradley
Pelicans Twitter never lies,
That
Steven.
is
Ever.
true. Touche.
Beal. Ever.
They have
Let's
never-
move on.
Called me names.
Let's go to
Called me.
Zion. It's been an absolute just Pelicans Twitter has been on fire the past 4 or 5 days. So go to
Oh.
Zion. It all started with fucking Colin Coward, Stephen Offner's favorite, just basically saying it's time. 60 plus games in, it's time for Zion to leave New Orleans, and he can't thrive in a small market. He can't win here. He can't do this. He can't do that. Colin Coward thinks that Zion needs to get out of New Orleans in order to be successful in the basketball realm. Elliot, we'll go first to you, then Steven.
And it's not just Colin. I mean, every single national media outlet really talks about this. I mean,
Right.
and there's a reason national media gets shredded by Pels Twitter on a regular basis. That's one of them. 2, it's because they actually don't watch the Pelicans play basketball.
That's a
They're
very
just
valid
watching everybody. I mean, that's what it comes down to. That's why you got to trust your local media, i.e. Boot Crew media. But
Yeah.
where my dog's at. And so there's that. So every single national media outlet is talking about that. ESPN, Fox, whatever. And it's because it will ultimately help their business, right? If they're in these bigger markets, LA, Boston, New York, what have you, that's what they want to see happen. That's why they were all ecstatic with LeBron going to Los Angeles. And Miami's sort of part of that too, just, you know, heat culture, whatever. But I mean, it's just, do you want the league to flourish or do you just want the big markets to flourish? Because the league isn't going to flourish if you don't have stars in these small markets. Small markets are going to, what's the word?
Wither.
Wither. There we go. Wither and die. I was looking at it's written on my ceiling, Steven. And I mean, we've seen what's happened to Cleveland since LeBron left. I mean, Giannis has transformed Milwaukee. I mean, and I don't have any others off the top of my head, but the list goes on. Oklahoma City, Kevin Durant, etc. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander there now. And we don't hear this about other players right now other than Zion. We're not hearing it about Ja Morant. We're not hearing it about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, like I mentioned, these young guys who need to leave to be in a successful market. All that Zion has done to feed this conversation is be drafted by the Pelicans and be a transcendent talent. That is it. He has not fed it whatsoever. This is solely from them trying to get clicks, trying to get listens, and it's fed by bullshit.
I don't think it is, man. It's the blueprint of what happens in New Orleans. You had a Chris Paul, he got out. AD, he gets out. This is just what people expect. It's like we will bring in these guys, lift them up, allow them to get to the best of their abilities, and then just kind of, all right, now go somewhere else and do something better.
Now, whose fault is that, though, Steven? Like, you say that, right?
It's the organization's fault
why?
because they can't build around these guys. They haven't been able to build.
So, okay, let me now. Chris Paul, I'm not mad at all. Okay, let's talk about Anthony Davis, though.
Sure, yeah.
Let's talk about Anthony Davis, right? Because like his first couple of years, it was like Austin Rivers. That team was trash. But like Del Jones brought in Boogie. He brought in, like, he literally tried to win. He brought in Rondo. Like, he had Drew Holiday. Brought in Drew Holiday. Like, they tried to build around Anthony Davis. At what point do you talk about Anthony Davis being the fucking problem? Like, seriously,
Oh,
do you
Jesus,
think?
I don't want to talk about
Wait,
this
hold
again.
up. Do you think though that when LeBron leaves the Lakers, do you think the Lakers will be a top contending team with Anthony Davis?
Yes, it's LA.
You do. Why?
You'll have somebody that wants to play with AD. It's
Well-
a carousel of people wanting to play with people. That's what
So
this is now.
Okay, I mean that's fair, but at the same time, Boogie wanted to come down to New Orleans. He was a pretty big name when we got him before his Achilles.
Did he want to come here?
He was gonna, yeah, and we are gonna re-sign him, and then he tore his Achilles, and that's why we lowballed him, and he wanted to leave, but he liked playing with Anthony Davis in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I mean, he was before the Achilles. He was
So
an
again,
all-star.
okay. Well, that's nobody's fault, obviously, other than
Right.
again
So, like,
lowballing him.
the
So whose fault is that
franchise-
again?
I just feel like the franchise has been plagued with just injuries. I know Elliot, you went shipping. Go ahead.
True.
I was just gonna say, they're independent situations. I mean, we saw last night. Zion has the switch. Has not last night. However many nights ago it was when they played. I think it was the Mavericks, and
Yep.
he flipped the switch and said, "We're not losing this basketball game."
Yeah.
Have we seen that from Anthony Davis? He just doesn't have that edge that Zion has, and Zion's already got it at the age of 20. I mean, and I personally, from what I've gathered, Zion has embraced the city much more than Anthony Davis ever did.
He did.
Yeah.
It's true.
And he seems to be more of a high character guy. He has a good foundation. I mean, he's been raised really well. I mean, you watch him in media sessions, he can speak to people. He's friendly, he's relatable. And yes, this is a small market, and that's a bit of a disadvantage. But I mean, Zion is different. The situation is different. The leadership is different. It's just to say that Anthony Davis is the reason that Zion Williamson is going to leave. They're completely different from top to bottom. I mean, on top of that, the Pels already have another all-star on the roster in Brandon Ingram, locked him in for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
A guy that they want to pair with Zion. And yes, the roster's a little clunky right now, but it's less than he's not even 82 games into his career.
Yeah.
Like, can we chill out with this shit for 5 seconds?
I know, and I wanted to bring up this point in Anthony.
Yeah. Look,
Davis.
I'm on y'all's side. I'm just saying.
I
what the
know,
I'm
media
glad.
thinks.
I'm glad
Yeah.
you're bringing this up because I wanted to talk about this. Is that Anthony Davis wanted to get out because he wanted to expand his brand. Well, he's repping fucking Ruffles and
Ruffles.
Zion's repping Jordan. Okay, so like, don't tell me don't tell me that I need to go to Los Angeles. No, dude. Like, it's your name. Like, no one fucking likes you. Everyone likes Zion. Okay, everyone wants to be like Zion now, right? So I just think that Anthony Davis was just kind of like a beta, right? He went an alpha. Like, LeBron's the alpha, AD's the beta. I
Do
just
we
think that. Go ahead.
Do we have he's got to be doing local commercials out there, right?
No way. Are you kidding
He's
me?
got to be. I
Wasn't
think
wasn't
did-
he
he
with
did
like
local commercials in
Pennzoil
New
for
Orleans.
something or
he
something?
did
did
he
local
did do
commercials.
something. He did some stuff
Take
here,
Five?
so he's got to be
Take
doing.
Five or something like that?
So I
He did,
think
an
something
oil
like that.
commercial,
Speedy,
right?
Speedy, or Take
Yes,
Five.
It was like, what are you
But-
doing, dude?
But we gotta see if he's doing any like local commercials out there to see what he's doing. Like, I'm
Like, do you
Anthony
think he's
Davis.
expanded his
This is
brand?
kombucha. Like something like that.
Like, he's repping Ruffles. Like, also, it's one of the worst chips out there. Like, Ruffles is trash.
Oh, watch your damn mouth, sir.
You're taking Ruffles over Zaps.
A Ruffles
You're taking
ruffle.
Ruffles over Zaps.
A Ruffles ruffle is wait.
Are you taking
What
Ruffles
is
over
Zaps? It depends on what type of chip we're talking about.
Elliot,
here.
have you ever
If
had a
I'm
Zap?
looking for a crinkly
Right.
chip to dip, then yes, I'm going Ruffles. I'm not going Zaps.
You're trash. Elliot, have you ever had Zaps?
I don't know
Thank
what
you.
zaps are.
Oh, when you come down here, oh boy, are you kidding me, Steven? You're literally gonna take. I
Wait,
can't
where
believe
the
it.
hell are
you
you?
kidding me?
Wisconsin.
Elliot's
Oh,
Wisconsin,
jeez,
baby.
Steven.
Come on, dude. Like, get
Cheese
with
and
the
beer,
program.
dog.
He's a cheesehead. Are you a cheese? You're not a Packers guy, are you?
No, I'm a Chargers fan. Believe it or not.
What the hell is
I
the
know.
matter with you?
I grew up.
Pelicans,
Hey,
Chargers.
Hey, I grew up in Iowa. I can pick whoever the fuck I want.
I'm definitely clipping that.
Oh,
tomorrow.
God.
All right, last point. Let's go on to Lonzo. Okay, so reports came out. He doesn't like the city, which is amazing. It's just amazing. He hates the city. He likes his teammates. And he needs to go to Chicago and New York. It's like, did Lonzo? Who
said
says
that?
this shit?
Is he the first
Appar-
person ever to not like New Orleans that's played here, except for like Al-Farouq Aminu?
But like, I just
I'm
don't think.
probably-
I don't think he ever said that. I think people just make shit up. And so, like, this is my next point of just
Well, it was reported in quotes, right? Wasn't it
I just
not?
don't
So
believe it was another national media story, just like making things up, and it's just
And
like,
it's from an agent. Like,
and that's
it
the
wasn't
thing.
even.
It wasn't.
It wasn't from Lonzo.
What agent is that? It's not even his agent. It's
Yeah.
another agent. And by the way, that guy, what was his
Rich
name?
Paul, Rich Paul hates us enough.
Fuck that
You don't
guy.
have,
Who was the
have to
guy that I
pour-
called out? Elliot, do you know on Twitter?
It
Do you
was
remember his-
Evan Massey.
Yeah, so Evan Massey, I actually literally did some research on him. He talks about his NBA agent, like Andre Drummond is going to go to the Heat or whatever he says, like the Knicks or whatever. And like he was wrong about that too. Like he's just always wrong. And so Bleacher Report, whoever sees the first report, like, oh, this guy nails it. He covers football for God's sake. Nailed it. Let's go. Lonzo wants out Chicago. He wants to go to New York. Hates New Orleans.
let's
Hates New Orleans first.
let's nickname him the Weatherman.
The weatherman.
He's always wrong.
Elliot, give me your initial thoughts on Lonzo.
I mean, I don't have Instagram. I deleted Instagram, but from what I've been told,
Good
he
boy.
always posts food of like stuff from New Orleans. He always posts stuff of his teammates. I think Louis Prejean from the radio station Lafayette 1037 The Game, he tweeted some pictures of Lonzo putting stuff of his teammates on his story. I mean, we see these guys on the court all the time having fun with each other. All the time. Lonzo is not a smiley dude, and he's out there smiling and having fun with Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. Brandon Ingram isn't either. But, I mean, how can a player like Lonzo turn around after having the season that he did this last year and now this year where he's playing best basketball of his career and playing with Zion, playing with Brandon Ingram, and turn around and say, yeah, I hate the city. I'm going to leave. I'm playing the best basketball of my career. I don't want to do this anymore. How the hell does that make sense? And he's flourishing in this role. Fine, he's not a point guard, Lonzo stands. Get over it. He's scoring the most he ever has before. He's an awesome perimeter defender. And if he's going to be the third star on this team, New Orleans will continue to embrace him as long as he's playing well.
Yeah.
Like,
Steven.
I don't listen. Liar, pants on fire. This dude's wrong. I don't believe it.
Can I quote you on that?
That's it.
Liar,
Yeah.
pants on
Yeah.
fire. Stephen Hoffman. I just,
Yeah.
I think that to Elliot's point, I really do think that Lonzo, he's just a chill dude. He came out today. He says, I like the city. I don't know. He likes best friends with Zion, Brandon Ingram. They've been paired together, especially also Josh Hart as well. I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore. I think that the national media isn't held to a certain standard. I think it's all about clicks now. We know it. Like literally you get paid for clicks. And so Evan Massey and Colin Coward got all their clicks and they got paid and it is what it
anybody
is.
and their mother can say per source now.
Oh,
and
what does
even if
per
it's-
source mean anymore?
Even
What
if
does
it's
that
Trust
mean?
me.
bullshit.
It means trust me.
But
And,
who's
like,
your source? Could it be
Yeah.
like a
Who's
realtor? Could it be like an airport? Like could it be somebody that works at the airport and saw like Lonzo like Lee? Here's my thing. What's a per source? Like what
And-
is the source?
like here's the thing too about that is I when I had that tweet blow up from it was a quote from Brandon Ingram that ended up on Yahoo Sports and
that was
all
awesome.
that.
By the way, shout out.
Yeah, thank you. People were questioning whether or not he said it, not because of the reputation of myself or Brandon Ingram, but because of these people who say, I have this person saying this thing and it turns out to be bullshit. Like, did he actually say that? I mean, the tweet blew up and thank you, Brandon, for saying it because that helped us a little bit. But I mean, like I pride myself and I'd like to think we do at Boot Crew Media, journalistic integrity. But man, it just drives me nuts. Like for people who genuinely care about the profession and genuinely care about people that want to know information in the sport, obviously it's dishonest and it just lacks integrity and character. Like who taught you that?
Yeah, I think it's and Steve, I want to talk to you about this. Like as a player, Steven, do you I mean, obviously now in today's game, everyone has a Twitter and an Instagram. Do you think that affects the player? Do you think it, what kind of when you hear that shit talked about you, does that honestly affect you? Like honestly.
Sure. It also depends on the player. It depends on how fragile
Or,
someone's ego
we know
is.
we know how fragile Lonzo is. Like, do you think that really does affect
Do
him?
we? I don't think it does him. I honestly, the way that y'all were talking about it, you know how he's a laid back kind of guy. I don't think it does. I don't think he pays attention to all that bullshit.
But like
the
we've
same
seen
way
the Kevin Durant
that Kevin
thing.
Durant does is what I was about to say. Now, sure, some people are, but also Kevin Durant's a guy that's in the known burner guy. Like he's always been. Kevin Durant's the exception to this.
Please, did you guys see that he threatened to beat the shit out of Ian Rappaport, the comedian?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
no,
Michael Rappaport.
Michael Rappaport.
Michael
He's a
Rappaport.
comedian.
Yeah. That's what we're
The
talking
NFL
about.
guy with the-
We're definitely keeping
Oh,
that in.
shit.
We don't cut anything at Propel.
Yeah, no,
stuff. We like
that's,
making fun of ourselves. So.
No, that's
Damn
what we're
it.
talking about. Yeah, but look, it depends on. I say it depends on who the player is, but also, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it'll affect them some type of way. Seeing stuff like that, especially if it's constant over and over
Like,
again.
but like with Lonzo,
if
don't
it's
you
just
think
one,
it's
if
kind
it's
of
one
constant?
drop, it has been. But Lonzo himself, I think he's a guy that's different because dude's been in the spotlight with his family since he was a junior in high school.
Or, yeah,
Everything, and especially the way that I was talking to Elliot Hell Watch Wrestling before we started this.
Mhm.
They were on WWE Raw. Like they
right.
came out right. The whole family came out and they did a whole promo. Like he's been in this spotlight. He went to LA right off the bat. I mean, he went to UCLA and he goes to the Lakers. I mean, I think that Lonzo's built a little different and can handle this.
And I think though, and to your point though, and I think Lonzo must, it's also kind of a better situation to be away from home for the first time in his life. Like I think there's something to this why he's kind of thriving in New Orleans and like, that spotlight right in LA and being from UCLA and being from the area and playing for the Lakers and LeVar saying he's going to be a Laker and he's going to be better than LeBron bullshit. Like he's gotten away from it. He's been way quieter and he's been a lot better. And eventually he's going to get paid. And so to say that he doesn't like the city is just irresponsible and bullshit. Like I actually know for a fact he has not said that. I'm not going to tell y'all how or
for
why.
a fact.
I'm not going to tell you how or why. I do. And I think that it's kind of irresponsible to just say per source. Yeah, per source. We're going to start saying per source from now on, Steven.
Just
Per source.
Just cover our ass with everything. It wasn't me. It was my
LeBron's
source.
coming.
The
don't know.
thing
Your
about
source, LeBron. Talk to him.
talk to
Coming.
him.
He got Space Jam. He got Space Jam out the way. He doesn't need to be in LA anymore.
Yeah,
Coming down.
he's
Per
coming to New
source.
Orleans.
Talk
So
to an NBA agent, but go ahead, Elliot.
Justin, I think you nailed it about him not being in LA anymore. One, being away from his family, and two, it's taken the spotlight off of him constantly of being in Los Angeles. And if he goes to a New York or goes back to Los Angeles, like with the Clippers or what have you, that spotlight's going to be right back on him.
Yep.
And LeVar's going to be in the media all the time. And Lonzo said it. He speaks for himself. And I would be honestly, and with his demeanor, he's like you said, very laid back, very kind of a casual guy. Doesn't give a lot to the media either in these media sessions. He's very concise when he speaks. I mean, I would just be really shocked if he decides to go to a media hub like a New York or like a Los Angeles. I mean, I think the media treats him like very well in New Orleans, respectful, and not too intrusive, obviously. So I just and I think it would feed more into LeVar. And I mean, I don't want to get into the personal of it for Lonzo, but it'd be pretty easy to get pretty resentful of a father like that pretty quick, even though, he's done a lot for him. He's raised professional athletes. They're good young men. I don't want to say anything about his fatherhood, but having that over you all the time has just got to drive you nuts. I think New Orleans is perfect for him because of that situation. Also Zion, BI, what have you.
Yeah.
If he goes to Chicago, over under, how long before LeVar says that he's going to have a statue next to Jordan's? 3
Over
hours.
half a year.
3 hours.
3 hours. Yeah.
3 hours.
I could see that. I just like, and I'm glad you brought that up, Steven, because I want to hear y'all's initial thoughts, and then I want to talk a little bit of the Zion injury, and then we'll get out of here. But Do you think now with Lonzo not getting moved at the trade deadline, it's now a priority for David Griffin to sign him, right? So maybe even overpay for him. I think he's worth $20 to $22 million, but this offseason, there's going to be a target on David Griffin's back because if you overpay for him, people are going to be coming knocking at his door. If you let him go, people are going to be knocking at his door. You know, Steven, it's a big offseason with Lonzo. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Me and Ross talked about it a little bit. It's got a big Eric Gordon feel to it right now.
Yeah. Explain a little bit about the Eric Gordon thing.
Well, it's because when Eric Gordon was a restricted free agent when he goes over to Phoenix. Goes over to Phoenix. We got him. Yeah, we got him for Chris Paul. He goes over to Phoenix. They give him this giant offer, which we felt like we had to match because one reason it was the last thing we had to show for Chris Paul, and we needed something. We needed somebody. We couldn't just let him walk away for nothing again. And it's got that type of feel to it right now, but I feel way more comfortable signing Lonzo and overpaying him than I ever would with Eric Gordon. I just plain and simple there.
That's a fair point, Elliot. Go ahead.
Steven, what do you define as overpaying Lonzo? I know, Justin, you just said
25.
25. Okay.
And
I would
somewhere around that 25 mil a year. I mean, that's tops, I think, for me. I mean, you also got to think, I don't know who else would even give him, more than that or could. That he would want to go to, other than the Knicks, they got a lot. But
right, yeah. I think the offer that would be perfect for me in an ideal world is going to be 4 years, $84 million, something like that. That's what they just offered Schroeder in Los Angeles. He turned it down. That's a 6th man of the year. And that way you're banking on him improving and being that 3rd star in New Orleans. And the thing about that too, I've talked about this on a few radio shows, and I think on my own show for that matter, is that, free agents don't just come to New Orleans. It's through the draft. It's through trades. This is a guy that has star potential along with your 2 stars you already have established on the roster. Lonzo Ball is a good basketball player. We've seen the ups and downs. Because the downs are real down, but the highs can be very high as well with the hitting threes and making winning plays, playing awesome defense against Damian Lillard. The offer should be there. Am I looking? Do I want them to pay him out the wazoo? 25 million would be the cap for me. And I've said 21 or 21 million on my podcast as opposed to 25. But when it comes down, when you're factoring all these different things in, the fact of relationship with the teammates that he has in Ingram, in Zion, I think you've got to put that money out there and say, look, we want to invest in you. We think you can continue to get better. And I think, honestly, we've had our misgivings with Stan Van Gundy too, in terms of rotation, in terms of time management, calling timeouts, etc. But I think that the Pels get an offseason, a real camp with Stan Van Gundy. He can really implement a defense that makes this team that much better because the offense is kicking ass right now, 1st in the league, but right now they're 29th in defense. So if you implement that that defense, this team can go to the next level. And with Lonzo on the team, chemistry, I think it's an upward trajectory.
Yeah, I agree. I really do hope we sign Lonzo in the offseason. I love him.
I'll say this real quick, man. We talked about it earlier in an earlier podcast where you asked me and Ross what the 3-point percentage would be for us to sign him to a big deal. And we all said, I think it was about 38 or 39%.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You started shooting 38.5%.
Yeah. And it's gone up every year.
And it's constantly going up. His 3-point attempts are going up. His 3-point attempts are almost 2 shots a game.
He's a good he's a good basketball player.
So that's what I'm saying. It justifies what we've been saying, that if these numbers stay there,
and here's another thing that really
we got to sign him.
And I'm with you, Steven. Here's another thing that really pisses me off, that people are like, we don't have a guard that can, shut down a day. Like, Lonzo's a really good fucking defender. Y'all got to watch the game. Okay. It's a problem that Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe and our bigs don't have like a PNR. Like, they can't play in a PNR. And I've broken down this film multiple times.
Jackson Hayes is getting better.
Jackson Hayes is getting better. And defensively,
he's getting minutes.
But at the same time, you're right. Here's my thing. When you set a ball screen on Zion, when Zion's defending you and Steven Adams is defending you on those ball screens, Zion does not know defense yet. He's 20 years old. He's been playing AAU high school where he hasn't been taught. He's been better than anybody else on the damn floor. He's never been taught how to play defense. This is the first time that he's been playing against players that are better than him. I'm not saying like overall, like they're better.
We've
And-
seen Brandon
Yeah.
Ingram get better defensively too in terms of rotations, but I mean, he's
Yes.
fallen back into bad habits. It's just about making him actual habits to do the
Absolutely.
good things defensively.
And the thing that pisses him off, Lonzo, is like, well, you go get screened by fucking Jokic, or you go get screened by Baines, or you go get screened by Embiid. See if you get around that. The problem is that he gets caught on that, and then they break down Steven Adams and his layup. It's like, oh, Lonzo's getting cooked tonight. No. The defense is getting cooked tonight. Go watch the film. The problem is that Lonzo's probably one of the best perimeter defenders that we have that we've ever had besides Drew Holiday and Chris Paul.
On that last possession by Zion, when he came off his assignment to help, it was against the Celtics. I think it was Jason Tatum right under the basket.
Yeah.
He
Yes.
came over to help D. I was like fucking
starting to-
shocked. I
He's
was like,
starting to get it.
yes.
But like the problem is he's starting to get it is that Zion hasn't been hit. Like he didn't really like go look at Duke. They were the worst defensive teams in the nation that year. High school. Could you imagine Zion Williamson?
They
Like,
scored
yeah,
so much that
they
year.
did. But could
He
you
was
imagine
surviving on
Zion in high
athleticism.
school? Steven,
Right.
could you imagine Zion in high school and be like, I do
They
not
have
need to play
videos of him
defense?
dunking on white kids.
Yes, like
And
he didn't
so
need to
many
play
videos.
defense. Like, he was just more athletic. Like, and that's my thing. He was more athletic in high school and more athletic than anybody in college that stepped on the floor. In the NBA, they're all the same. Okay. So it's going to take a little time. So don't tell me that Lonzo Ball is not a good on-ball perimeter defender, just like how Kyra Lewis isn't either, because you need to watch Kyra Lewis because he's probably our second or third best defender. I'm going on record to say that because the dude never gets screened. He's a deflection monster and he's long as shit. I'm really pissed off right now because I deal with JJ Redick's sorry ass, and the Pelicans play tomorrow. And I didn't get to talk about any basketball. And it's 8:00 at night, and I'm halfway through my wine. So, Steven, give me a prediction. How many games does Zion miss? And then Elliot, and I'm getting out of here.
What kind of question is this? I'm
How
not
many
I'm
games
not
does
a
he miss?
doctor.
Is he out for the
I
rest of
haven't
the year?
examined him. I don't know.
He's got a sprained thumb. Right hand.
4. He misses 4
4.
games.
Elliot, go ahead.
Here's your confetti.
You know, the game against the Magic does not really, I mean, the Magic are just going to be awful. They're just going to be awful.
I hope he doesn't
So,
play
They're
tomorrow.
trying to lose.
oh, I mean, seriously. And then they play the Hawks, who are good. I'd say 2-3 games max.
Okay.
And
If
based
it's
on what we
more-
know, based
yeah,
on what
if
we
it's-
know now.
If it's more than 4 games, it's a problem.
Yeah.
If it's more than 4 games, he's got a serious injury.
Why is it a problem if it's 4 games? What is it, his left hand or his
So-
right?
So it's a right hand sprain,
Okay.
thumb sprain. Okay. And it could have been worse. Initial reports saying that he was out for the year or he would be out for multiple weeks. It's now been determined that there are no torn ligaments, that it's a sprain. Okay. So he's in a splint right now. I just spit everywhere. It's on
See,
his
that
right
sounds like a
hand.
pretty bad sprain, man. If you think that you got torn ligaments, it's not just like, ooh, I jammed my thumb. It's like, man, I think I tore some ligaments.
Can you do that move again?
This one, ooh.
Ooh. Elliot Clough and Pelicans Plus, Stephen Offner, once again presented by Company Burger, located 4600 Ferret Street. We miss Ross Thibodeau tonight. He's actually taking a trip to Lake Charles. He's got a family and a job, so that's pretty cool. Congrats to him. And so that's why he's not joining this podcast tonight. But as always, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Pro Pels Talk. Make sure you go follow Elliot Clough at Elliot Clough on Twitter. And also Pelicans Plus does an awesome job for Boot Crew Media. And we play tonight against the Orlando Magic, tomorrow against the Hawks, and Sunday against the somebody help me.
Rockets.
Rockets. There we go.
I have it
When I
right in
do
front of me. I wouldn't have been
When I
able
do
to.
the circular
Is that
thing,
on the ceiling too, Elliot?
when I do
It's
the
up there
circular,
too,
it's
Elliot. It's up on the ceiling.
Yeah.
I love that.
Rockets.
So, as always, guys, thanks for joining us. Go Pels. Talk to you.